People travel for different reasons. Some to experience new cultures and places, others to escape the monotony of everyday life. Normally it's a mix of both, but sometimes the best adventures are closer than we think. What if we could turn the monotony into something new and exciting in its own right? We often take the beauty that's around us for granted just because it's familiar. If this is you, maybe it's time to try being a tourist in your home state. Florida is known for its strange people, strange creatures, and even stranger stories. I've lived here for nearly 4 years and have yet to experience a majority of what it has to offer. My parents visited me for Christmas, so this was the perfect opportunity to be a tourist and experience all that the state has to offer. We started off by visiting Homosassa Springs, a nature park that used to be a zoo. It still has some of its residents from his past life, like Lou the hippo, who also happens to be the world's oldest living hippo at age 64. The park was beautiful. We saw so many manatees, including a baby, and the water was so crystal clear, I couldn't believe I'd never been there before. I used to think that places like this were just for tourists, but now I realize that the forest, the crystal clear waters, and the local wildlife are all Florida at its purest. Visiting places like this and reconnecting with nature is a great way to escape from the monotony of freeways and parking lots seen in city life. It's always good to step outside every once in a while and remember the world that this all came from. Appreciating the natural beauty of your home state will give you a greater appreciation for your environment when you carry yourself throughout your daily life. Next, we went to the Everglades. I remember reading a book in elementary school about this place. I learned about apple snails and I told myself I would go there one day, and here I am. I didn't see an apple snail, but I did find a shell, so I think that counts for something. Now, you might be thinking that it's easy for me to be a tourist in my home state because I live in a quote-unquote exciting state. But I promise you that you can find adventure no matter where you live. I used to live in Oklahoma, which is a stereotypically boring state, and we would go on day trips to the weirdest places all the time. I went to a giant whale sculpture, the salt plains, a pioneer museum, and discovered so much more. I promise you that every state has some random claim to fame if you just search for it. Just be a tourist and go after it. I promise you, you'll find something. We spent 2 days here. The first, we went to Everglades City and looked around the Everglades Museum. It was such a cute old Florida town that looked like it came straight out of a movie. Next, we went on a scenic drive and looked at all the wildlife. Then we finished off with an airboat ride. We got to tour through the mangroves and see the Everglades from a whole new perspective. On the second day, we went on a hike to an old cabin. At the end of the trail, there was a lake that had about 15 gators in it. I like to think that I've become unfazed by gators while living in Florida, but I've never seen so many gators in my life. While exploring the Everglades, I wondered why I never took the time to visit. I've been dreaming about visiting ever since I was a kid, after all. Why do we ignore the treasures in our own backyard? Maybe it's because we think we'll always have time. Or maybe we've bought into the idea that adventure has to be far away. Whatever the reason, I can say for certain that you can find adventure in your own backyard. Towards the end of their trip, I took my parents to the beach to walk and see some of the tourist shops. I've been to the beach plenty of times, but I've grown to take it for granted. After this hurricane season, I've been avoiding the beach, afraid of what I might find. It was nice to get back out there and find a sense of normalcy. We're spoiled with some of the best beaches in the world here. The ocean is always just there. But slowing down and watching the waves, I realized just how restorative it is. Tourists often flock to what locals may overlook. Being a tourist in your home state teaches you gratitude. It reminds you to slow down and appreciate the everyday. This experience showed me that there are still new things to discover, no matter how commonplace your surroundings may seem. It gave me a new perspective on what home is. Home isn't just where you live. It's the landscapes, the sunsets, and the stories that shape who you are. So here's my challenge to you. Be a tourist in your home state. Find the beauty you've been walking past. You might be surprised by what you discover.